questions for you. One is, can I curse?
Yes.
And the second is, I'm sorry, Mom. All right.
Well,
Let's get at it.
That's the first intro. Hi, I'm Al Gordon, and welcome to Let's Get It Podcast. Today I have a very, very special dear friend of mine. I'm trying to think of how to describe this gentleman.
There's no description.
This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to let him describe himself, and then I'm going to give my introduction. Let's do that. So please, introduce yourself to our guest.
Hello, guys. I'm Tomas Rivera. I'm a chef, owner of a catering company called Salt. I've been doing this for a fucking long time. So that's my intro. Hit me with the questions.
He's being humble.
Yeah. We'll fill you in on the rest.
One of my guidelines here is the professional has to be in the industry for more than 7 years. They have to be a business owner, and they have to be creative in some sort, meaning that they're supporting themselves with what they do. It's not a part-time hobby. They just didn't get out of school. I want people that's been in the game for a while so they can shine some light on the pros, cons, and stuff of that nature. Tomas is being humble. This is what I have for him. Business owner, event planner, chef food consultant, food contractor, landlord, visionary, father, and a maverick. In case you don't know what a maverick is, a maverick is a person that does something unorthodox, and they do things pretty much an independent mindset, meaning there's not too many things that could divert that person to get things done. And in LA, it's one of those things that you almost have to do. So I want to start from the beginning.
It's a hell of an intro, man.
So I do my homework.
Yeah.
Talk to me about when you first started, when you're back in New York, and what caused you to start cooking and stuff like that.
Okay. I think my first job ever was working in a cookie company. I worked at a bakery. We just made cookies all day long, sheeters. We made these higher end cookies. They were really nice. I didn't know much about cooking or baking or anything. It was a job. I got to work with my friends, and I got to make cookies for a living, so it was fun. We used to finish our cookies, get into the walk-in, smoke that walk-in out so hard, make some puff boxes, and just eat cookies afterwards. So it was just cookies, getting high, eating cookies, getting high, eating cookies. It was a great job. I was like 18 or something. After that, I needed to get a little more serious, so a friend of mine invited me to come work at his restaurant where he started working. It was a restaurant called Tastings on 52nd and 2nd Avenue in New York City. It was a little wine bar, taste room. They had a black chef there that was up and coming. It was pretty cool. And they offered me a dishwasher job. So that night I went in expecting to wash dishes. The garde-manger, salad guy, didn't show up.
That's your in.
Next thing I know, I'm working the line. We're knocking out 120 covers. And I've been working at this ever since. So that was my introduction to cooking. And it was hard and fast. And you know what? It still is hard and fast.
Yeah. Well, so talk to me a little bit about the New York scene back then. Because back then it was different. You used to have a lot of stages. Chefs were still in the kitchen. And the hours were long. The pay was super low. So compare that to now, the kitchen setup, you know.
Well, I'm an OG when it comes to cooking. I mean, we started cooking back in the day with 4-star chefs in New York City. I started doing production work. Luckily, my first job was at the Odeon Cafe. It's a famous little cafe down on the east side of Manhattan. My chef there, his name was Patrick Clark. First Michelin black chef in the country. So what was great about it was that I got to a stage. So every day I did a different gig. Monday I was the butcher. Tuesday I was the salad guy. Thursday I was the fry guy. Wednesday I was the grill guy. Saturday saute, and on brunch day we just feed 400 people like boom, 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 boom. Every day. That happened. Brunches suck, man. Brunches suck. Excuse me. Breakfasts are horrible. You got to wake up and you got to cook all day long. It's not an easy thing to do. But you develop your chops, and I thank God that I got to do all those things, because nowadays you get a job, you're lucky if you work that grill station, and you're lucky if that person stays at the grill station for a year before you got to find somebody else. So that to me was the beginning of me really learning to cook, learning the systems about how to cook, learning the production part behind cooking, which is key to longevity and actually enjoying what I did. I was young, dumb, full of cum, ready to go. Knock it out. What do you got? 1,000? Let's do it. Boom, boom, bam. You're working your 12-hour days. You got your chefs throwing plates at your head, screaming at you if something's fucked up, screaming at you if something's great. I learned 2 things. I learned how to really cook good. I learned how to duck.
Right.
Them plates will be coming at you like, wah,
Right.
You can't do that with kids nowadays or younger people nowadays. You have to be a little more sensitive to their emotional needs and to their prowess or whatever they think they know. There's 2 things to me you learn going to cooking school. You learn how to pay a lot of money, and you learn the difference between a fork and a knife. I'm sorry, bro, but
Right.
That's how I feel. They come out of school learning some basic items, come with their nice little chef jacket, their nice little tight apron, their nice little knife roll, ready to take on the world. But until you get your ass handed to you on the line, you gotta learn how to peel potatoes, wash dishes, put out desserts, salads, fucking grill, making sure everything is clean, making sure everything is tight, making sure the chef don't scream at you in those 1 or 2 or 3 hours that you're in the middle of service. You can't learn. You can't learn what you learn from that experience. That's balls deep, sweat, tears, blood. I wish they would show a class like that now.
Yeah.
So that's just the difference from when I was, back in the day, back in the game. If you stayed in the game, you go on to be an executive sous chef, a really fine restaurant. You go on to be maybe a chef in a really fine restaurant, and you get to deal with that idealistic sense of high-end restaurant world, which is amazing. I love it, but it wasn't for me.
Well, I always tell people I'd rather them start off fine dining and then after that determine where they want to go.
Correct.
I've had a lot of people go country club route, hotel route, not to knock them.
Right.
But I realized they've already plateaued. You can't put them into fine dining now because they're used to be,
that's it.
Scheduling and paperwork and whatever. They're not used to being in that heat per se. A lot of times people had a hard time. Well, I know people have a hard time going from the transition from when you become a cook or maybe a sous chef. When do you know it's time for you to put that chef title on your name? Whereas these days they come up and I'm a chef. It's like everyone's a chef these days.
It's funny. I was thinking about doing this interview before we sat down, and I was thinking about terminology and maybe something that I could say, and I'm glad you brought up the chef word, because let me tell you something. That chef word is thrown around too easy nowadays. Everybody's a chef, but that's not true. To me, a chef is somebody that's been in the game, that knows how to cook, knows how to manage, knows how to take care of people, knows how to order, knows how to make money, knows how to take care of every single thing around them, knows every distinct detail about what they're doing. A chef is like a doctor to me. You got to spend like 20 plus years in the business, knowing what you're doing, knowing all aspects of it, before I can maybe call you a chef.
Right.
I've been doing this now for longer than I can count. I don't want to age myself, but 30 plus now. And I still don't consider myself a real chef. You can call me the executive chef because I'm the owner of the company and I'm the guy who started cooking. But to me, I just want to be a really, really good cook And that, to me, is the foundation of where you want to go in the future, whether you want to be a catering chef, whether you want to be a restaurant chef, whether you want to be an institutional chef, whether you want to be whatever you want to be in this business. But people throw that chef word around way too easy nowadays, right. and it's one of my pet peeves.
No, I agree with that. I think a few years ago, everybody was in real estate. When the housing boom, everybody, I'm a broker, I'm a real estate. I'm like, you're not in real estate. Right. And then the boom happened, lost all that money. Yeah. And then people just jumped into hospitality. Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm a private chef now.
Yeah. I like to cook.
Chef.
I like to cook.
Yeah, it was the easiest thing to jump into.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's steps to getting to where you want to be, and I'm gonna hold those chefs that I appreciate and that I know are ballers in the business, who I'll call chefs. Everybody else, to me, a good cook, a good worker, good manager. Yeah. When you can expertise all of those items, then you can take on that mantle. Right. I mean, because, like I said, it's like a doctorate. It's deserving to those people that put in their time. It's not deserving to those people that get out of school and done one or two things, and all of a sudden they put chef on their jackets. Right. I can write chef on my jacket. Doesn't mean anything to me.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So.
You could have had. You said you could have gone executive at a hotel, resort, whatever. What was the deciding factor to say, you know what, I need to do my own thing? What happened in your career to say, you know what, not to say that you said I'm out, but what made that distinction say, you know what, I think I'm ready to do my own thing?
I'm going to take you back to when I was at a restaurant called Metro in the Upper East Side of New York City. I was working for Patrick Clark. It was the first time they dropped some big bucks on this restaurant on the Upper East Side. Big time bucks. We were flying in prawns from Hawaii. We were getting caviar. We were getting the best of everything in the house. And I was the garde-manger. And as for a garde-manger, means you're a salad person or in charge of the salad station or the cold area, including desserts and so forth. So we had a 300-seat restaurant. We had celebrities in there every night. It was top of the line echelons. We garnered 3 stars there. And being the garde-manger, I learned more there. That was the peak of my cooking career, because I got to work with the greatest ingredients. I got to work with the most amazing man that I've ever met, mentally, as far as cooking and taking comfort food and things that people like and just elevating it. It was exciting. It was thrilling. I complained and I bitched the entire time. I was like, dude, I don't want to be a garde-manger. Put me on the grill. I'll take that motherfucker on right there. I look at him in the eye and say, I'll take your job. I want that job. I want that grill job. That's the job that I want. I don't want to be making salads. I want that grill job. You right there, I'm coming for your job.
Call that 6.
And that motherfucker, you make that motherfucker nervous, and you get so nervous that he fall off, and boom, you elevate yourself.
Right.
But kick my ass. He's right there next to me all the time. And I found myself at night, I was working the salad station, knocking out desserts, washing dishes, mopping, cleaning, sweeping, up and down, 3-4 hours after my shift, every day, kicking ass just to elevate myself to the next level. And he wouldn't give me that gig. So I started becoming a little bit like, what the hell do I got to do? Do I got to get blood? And I remember he was rough on everybody, When it was one night, we just kicking shit out, It was like some salad that we were doing that was a super special salad to him. I was making, 100 of these salads every night, the same goddamn way, Make that salad that night, knock it out. We get an order, put it up. You got to realize when everybody on the line is putting up their food at the same time. Because to me nowadays, that's pisses me off at service when you get all your appetizers and your entrees at the same time. No. Back then, you get your appetizer, you get your second appetizer, and then you get your meal. You space it out, and you know what time to put it up, when everybody's ready on the line. If something you have on that dish goes with that guy, it comes out at the same time, and you got to be prepared and ready. I always found myself prepared and ready I was a baller. I was down to do it. And this one day we're making these salads, and I knock out the salad the way it's supposed to be. Chef turns around, looks at me. He's standing right here. Turns around and he says, "What the hell is that? What is that shit? That's garbage. I never make that shit." Throws the plates against the wall. Make that shit again. Make it again perfect. Thinking, sweating in the middle of service, knocking it out. Sweating in the middle of service, like kicking it out, like I'm gonna make this salad perfect. Make it, show it to him. That's not what I fucking told you what to do. I didn't show you how to make salads like that. That's garbage. My 5-year-old daughter could do better than that. You better start that shit again, boy. Like, damn. I was like, he's being rough on me today, huh? I took that salad and slid it in the fridge, made another one. Then we get another order come in for the same salad. I pull that bad boy out the fridge and I put it up top. Say, "Chef, ready to go." Chef turns around and goes, "Now that's how you make that salad." And I realized right then and there, he wasn't holding me down because he wanted me to be better. He was doing it because he was making me better. He was going to break me and then make me. He was going to break you down to the point where you say, "I can't do this. What the hell am I doing? I'm not supposed to be here." Or he was going to make you a chef, cook, chef, along the way. So that then and there is when I realized, I need to control my own life. I want to kind of do my own thing. I love this thing, but it's just a little too way serious for me. At the end of the day, we're cooks. We're not brain surgeons. Nothing we do will kill somebody, unless you do some blowfish or some shit,
Right.
But, it shouldn't be that serious. It should be enjoyable. It should be something you do with passion. It should be something you like to do. It shouldn't just be a job, because if it just becomes a job, then it's just a really hard job.
Right.
It's just a really hard job. And I would tell anybody that's looking to get into this industry, do something else. Run. Unless you're passionate.
Right.
And if you're passionate about it and you're willing to spend the time that it takes to peel potatoes for fucking a year, and then maybe get to become a dishwasher for a year, and then learn how to make a salad for another year before you even consider you even like it. Nowadays, people can take that course. You too can be a chef in 6 short weeks. No, you can't.
Right.
No, you can't. Now, it takes a different kind of person to have that in them. I mean, you could just teach so much.
Right.
People need to know, or people need to have it in them to know their flavor profile, their taste, their thing. What this needs salt, this doesn't need salt, this, that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I could follow the recipe. But if you don't have it in you to know how to cook, that's going to be very, very challenging to teach somebody that.
Right.
Unless they spend 20 years in El Bulli.
Oh, that's a whole different.
Right.
So,
I mean, there's that level of cooking, and then there's the level of cooking where you consider yourself a good cook, and everything you make is good.
I think the restaurants and even a hotel, it's already self-contained. You know your menu, you got your HR department, go get your uniform. I mean, everything's laid up. You just got to show up and clock in, for the most part. Catering, on the other hand,
It's a different beast.
Completely.
It's a beast that I'd like to say you cannot put in a box.
Right.
It's a beast that every day you're trying to fit it back get it back onto the table, just so that you can control it. Because you have everything that you have to deal with, and you're not in this box. You're not in a restaurant.
Right.
You're on location somewhere. You're on location somewhere where there's no oven, there's no lights, there's no floor, there's no water, there's no store. There's nothing near you, and you have to feed 100, 200, 500, 1,000 people and make everybody there feel like they're special, and they got something special, even though you got nothing to work with.
Right.
Do you know how difficult that is? It is a difficult challenge, but it's also thrilling.
I'm going to tell a story real quick. The second time I met Tomas, the first time I was dropping off, we used to make these dessert shot cups and drop it off for his event close by, no big deal. And then I drop it off and we talk a little bit. He's like, next week I have this event over at Hummingbird
Nest Ranch.
Nest Ranch, yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, another event, no big deal. I didn't know it was for like, what, 1,200 people?
Probably more, a little bit more, but somewhere in that neighborhood, yes.
I show up and I see tents. I thought it was like the county fair. Helicopter pad, polo course, horse stables. It was crazy. Anyway, I walk into the tent and he has like 8 or 9 full-on tables I didn't know what catering was to that magnitude until I saw that, and I knew this is a whole different thing. I'm used to 100 people, maybe 200 if you're doing something. Over 1,000 people and orchestrating the staff, the food. So to me that has stuck in my head ever since. When someone says anything more than 500, I'm just throwing it at Tomas. Go ahead and do your thing.
It's that's when it becomes a real job. When you're producing for that amount of people. Now, I'm going to take you back to one other story, and this is just something I got to throw at you. I was the executive opening sous chef, of a restaurant in not Battery Park City. It was in New York City. It was Jonathan Waxman restaurant. Jonathan Waxman used to be a famous chef back in the day. He was the chef of, I think, Jams up in San Francisco, and that's where his background was. So it was very exciting to go open this new location in this park in New York City, right next to the Museum of Natural History. It was going to be historic, and I've always found myself being in these points in time. So it was a historic park opening, and it was a fine dining restaurant, first of all. So we had 125 seats fine dining. Then on the roof, we had another 150 seats of not fine dining, but more casual restaurants. So on the roof, we have another 150 seats, casual restaurant where people going. Outside of the restaurant, there was another 800 seats.
No, come on.
That was just grab and go.
Okay.
Doing this and that, or whatever it is, just coming to get a snack. But you have dishes. You have three different menus, 3 different restaurants, and I was running the production capabilities for all of those things. And that is where you learn if you can handle it or not.
Right.
And I worked my ass off to make sure that we were doing well. But the chefs always throw, and especially him, always throw gauntlets at you because they want to see if you can jump the gauntlet. And I had learned how to jump gauntlets through Patrick Clark, so I was not going to let this guy get me down. I was just going to keep jumping those gauntlets,
Uh-huh.
I mean, it got to the point where I was just working like 15-hour days, peeling baby carrots that now come in a nice little bag, all peeled for you, all ready to fucking steam,
Right.
and put it out on a plate. Where back in the day, we had to clean them, wash them, peel them, clean them again, including our mescalune greens, which just come in individual boxes.
Right.
They didn't come in a nice little bowl pack, all washed and ready to put on the plate. You had to make your own mescalune greens.
Right.
And I found myself just trying to kill it, produce enough to feed the line, to feed all these different places, and it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming. And I had a chef there that would scream at you and say, I want this to be 4 stars. I want this to be fucking 4 stars. I want this to be 4 stars. Really? Okay, well, I'm doing my 4-star work here.
Right.
But what I think is 4 stars Do you have something better? No, I want this to be 4 stars. And that's where I learned that even though you have a name, and even though everybody thinks you're this fine dining chef, it doesn't actually make you that chef. It's the people around you that make you that chef. It's the people around you that keep that name going. It's fluff. It's fold. It's like, I'm this chef. And I've met plenty of them.
Yeah.
This motherfucker one day tells me as I am killing myself putting food out, sweep the floor. There's onion peels on the floor. Onion peels, peels from the brown onion. Bring the bags, you get peels. Stop all service, sweep the floors. And that's when I said to myself, this is not real. This is fantasy land. This is in his mind.
Right.
Fantasy land. And I had no respect for chefs like that. Excuse me, Jonathan, but fuck you. Ha!
Was he French?
No, he's just some white dude. By the way, he got fired while he was truffle hunting in France on their dollar. Anyway, side stories. And I got plenty for you. So we'll leave that at episode 4 or 5, whatever works.
Yeah.
All right.
I know it's a long series. That's why we got a lot of beverages. It's going to be a minute. So when you started Salt, you started it here in LA, or you started it out there and then transferred it here? You started it here in LA.
Yes, I did. But right before I moved out to New York, after working probably in the kitchen for 10 years or so, I started working at catering companies in New York City, and I started seeing what was going on. And New York City was the bastion, and to this day, unfortunately, still the bastion of good food and fast forward thinking as far as food is concerned. I mean, you cannot not be good in New York and survive. There's restaurants next to each other, 5-6 restaurants on the same block. They all have to be good to survive. And if they're not good, they do not survive, because there's plenty of people there that just take their place or take that customer. So, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Moving out to LA for Salt.
Right. So I learned the catering business in New York City. I learned things that people were doing differently, and it was fun. It was interesting. You're working with all these people. It was back in the day, where there was money to do events, and people were doing parties, and there was just money thrown at everything so that everybody could have a good time and premieres and so forth. Yeah, Studio 54 kind of feel. And it was awesome because, like I said, you got to work. But then crash hit and just drove everybody into the ground. It's the first one. So I married a chef. My wife, my ex-wife. And she, to me, was, when I first met her, I thought she was a lesbian, because any woman that worked in the kitchen at that time was a lesbian. You know what I mean? Excuse me, but that's the way it was. But she wasn't. And she was a ball buster. She was hanging there. She was the executive sous chef at the time of Tavern on the Green.
Oh, wow.
Which was a warehouse of cooking, which was the biggest grossing restaurant in the United States for 10 years running.
They had monitors in the kitchen. They were doing so many orders.
It was crazy. It was a warehouse of fine food putting out. And my executive chef, Patrick Clark, came back to New York after hiatus in California and Washington, and came back and opened Tavern on the Green and took on this monster, which was a tourist trap at some point, it became a tourist trap. It became like a joke restaurant. It was just in the middle of Central Park. It was a pretty little restaurant with shitty ass food. And he took over this behemoth and made it into a 3-star restaurant in a short 6 months. And I helped him out by doing that. I took over production as a production chef, and he had brought all these chefs in from LA, and he brought his executive sous chef, Danielle, and she was a baller, and she used to bust balls in the kitchen. She used to make men cry. Make men cry. And I was like, damn, that's a badass bitch. And she could play pool, so I fell in love with her. I fell in love with her, and that stat. She's from Los Angeles, and she explained to me there's a different life than New York, because at that point in my life, it's like, there's nothing but New York. But there's something else happening elsewhere in the world. Mm-hmm. So I figured I'd take the chance and come out here, and she brought us out here, and we made a career. She was the gourmet chef, I say, and she built a career, and I came out here and got my footing by working at Catering, bringing up some kids. Back in the day, I was the stay-at-home mommy.
Okay.
For a little bit. And she took care of business, and I took care of the kids. And then I started hooking up with more and better people, and I got my first real job here at Patina.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In Los Angeles.
It was still popping back then.
There was not many restaurants back in the day when I came to New York that had a level of service or a level of food that was consistent, quality-driven food that you can respect.
Right.
You had LA was a laid-back town, comfort food. There was great tacos, great Mexican food, great of what they did, but there was not very high-end dining restaurants. There was two people. There was Wolfgang Puck, and there was Joachim Splichal. So I took the Splichal because you either come from Puck or you come from Patina.
That's true.
So I found myself with Patina, and I found myself working again under these circumstances of catering that I've explained to you about, that are vicious and wild and crazy, and every day was a different experience, and 400, 500, 200, this, cooking with the finest, the best food, working with a crazy-ass chef that was a true genius, and learning again how to do fine dining on a larger level. There's a huge difference between a restaurant chef and a catering chef. Most cannot do both. And I believe if you start as a catering chef, you can never be a super fine dining chef, because it's a different animal. But if you come from fine dining experience and then consolidate your experiences to what you want to produce and what you want to be, then you have that option of knowing different levels. So working for Joachim, working for Patina, working for 5 years under, again, sometimes intense, circumstances, and learning how to cook with not an oven, but with a transit box and some fucking sterno.
Right.
How to sear a whole salmon on a sheet pan with like 30 sterno underneath. They don't teach you that in cookie school, boys and girls. They don't. You learn that from burning your hands, burning your ass, burning your mustache. That's how you learn, from smelling burnt flesh.
Right. Wow. Okay. You already had the mindset of just going through the gamut of this craziness. So just tweaking it out once you got here with you almost sought out that kind of love that you had in New York through these guys, kind of, sort of.
At the end of the day, Al, I got to tell you, this is what it comes down to. And unfortunately, this is what it comes down to. It comes down to the fact that if you own a restaurant and you're consistent and you're the best, and you have the best workers, and you have the best staff, and you have the best food, and you have the best everything, and you work your ass off 12 days a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you're still clear 5, 10, a little more than 10 on the high end in restaurant business.
If that, maybe just break even.
If that, maybe break even. And I'm talking about along all levels. I'm talking about from the taco guy up to the fine dining guy. If you break 10%, then you're going to succeed and you're going to live. And there is far and few in between people that it actually can keep that consistency.
Right.
So catering is a different ball game, because if you get your numbers right and you get your mind right, you can break 20%. You can actually make a life for yourself. You don't have to break your balls, 7 days a week, 16-hour days.
I mean, and your staff is not always working. In a restaurant, your staff is there whether it's slow or not.
Every day.
They're there.
Correct. They're there whether there's 150 people there or whether there's 2 people there. You got to open the doors. So to me, it was more freeing. I still got to do what I love to do, which was cook and cook fine food. But I got to find out different ways to do it in different avenues, and I got to do it on my own terms. And that's kind of why I fell into catering. No worries.
I want to know this. If you were to get a sponsorship deal from 3 companies, who would they be?
Sponsorship deal. Well, it depends on whether you're going with food and or beverage, because food and or beverage are an intensely different situation, but need to flow in the same way. I mean, you don't want to be a caterer that just does the food and then somebody else hires this person to do the bar, and then somebody else hires the coordinator to do the flowers, and then somebody else hires that to do that, because at the end of the day, you want to have a semblance of everything is equal and flowing, and it works all together equally, and everybody's doing their same job, and everybody's doing, everybody's giving the same effort to produce that same quality wedding.
Right.
And that to me is a big difference. And I was just talking about food and beverage. So as far as your question is concerned, as far as food is concerned, it's always to have like a major player in the game to follow you or to give you some sponsorships. I would say, some of the better meat companies, because proteins are the most important part of the whole meal. And if you get good quality, then you don't have to be such a great cook because you're cooking good food, and that's the secret behind most things, is the quality of the product that you're doing. So a good meat company to produce some good meat, a great bread company to produce great bread, because even though people are on their diets and stuff like that, everybody always comes back to the bread, because whether or not they eat it, they all want it.
Right, that's true.
So that's important to me. And then at the end of the day is a good beverage or wine company.
Okay.
Somebody that you can appreciate, that could tie the bread and the meat and all that stuff together, because there are 3 components of a meal that need to equally be as good to produce something that's special. Because I can have the greatest meat, the greatest bread, but if the wine sucks, people are just going to remember, damn, that wine sucked.
That wine was horrible.
Right. Or if you have the best meat and the best wine, and then you got some shit ass bread, people are going to say, it was great, except that the bread was an opposite of the meat, the same thing. So, I mean, today, you've got to find a fine tier, and make sure that everything is at least equal to each other, or makes each other better. So it's across the board as far as catering is concerned.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because catering is not only putting out a great grilled cheese sandwich for 400 people. Catering is figuring out how many goddamn chafers I need, how much sterno I need, how much garbage bags I need, who the hell else do I have to feed, who the hell else is going to jump into this game, what the hell else is going to happen that I don't see happening. It's a visionary thing. You have to control all the problems before you get there, and expect the worst at all times.
Right.
So sponsorship is nice, and it's good, it helps you out, but unless they're giving you money or a free product,
Well, I mean, no, that was my goal. And for me, I've always thought of like G-Shock for me. I've always had G-Shocks, I bang shit around and
watch this, tear them up.
Yeah. My point is that a person of your caliber, with what you're doing, people want to see like what is he wearing? You know, they just want to be affiliated with the winner.
Right.
So they can say, yes, at G-Shock we sponsor chef and he does da. Okay, makes sense because it's a rugged industry.
Correct.
You know, whether it's a type of shoe, whether it's Dansko, Birkenstock, whatever, our chefs wear this because of XYZ.
Right.
So it's almost, I always ask that because you've been in the game long enough and you know what works and what doesn't work.
Well, my G-Shock's in the shop right now getting fixed because I banged it around too much. Probably dipped it in water too many times. Or maybe got some veal stock
well, steam kills
around the rim.
I realize that steam kills these watches.
Yeah. But in my more mature age, I'm going to say shoes.
Right.
Shoes are the most important thing because you're standing on your feet for so long.
Right.
You're moving around. You know, you're literally moving all day long. You're packing, you're moving, people don't understand what the drive is. I mean, what the exhaust is of doing what we're doing. I mean, you know, like I said, we're packing everything up, we're bringing it to your house. Mm-hmm. We're trying to give you that restaurant quality experience in your house. And then we got to pack it back all up, bring it home, wash it, put it back on the shelf, and then start again the next day. Right. You know, it's a drudging situation, and I'm not saying it's not fun, because it is. I wouldn't be doing this still
but
if there wasn't
see
no
this
fun to it.
The average Joe
sees it as a job.
Right.
And there's a lot easier jobs, guys. A lot easier jobs.
Right.
So, shoes, good pair of pants.
Shoes, pants, and one more. You're missing one.
A watch, because you need to know what time it is at all times.
Right. Time is very valuable.
Time is very valuable.
Very valuable.
Time is key in catering, my friends. Okay?
So what I'm going to do now is called a speed round.
Got it.
And what I do, I'm just going to say a word. And whatever comes to mind, story or not, it's completely up to you. I'm just going to say a word. You do whatever you want to do. All right?
Get the sensors ready.
Yeah. Beep, 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 beep. Okay. Vegas.
Vegas. Top dining experience in the West Coast.
Social media.
Pain in the ass.
Loyalty.
Very difficult to obtain.
LA food scene.
Growing and getting better every day.
Love.
Sex.
Respect.
Earn.
Red Bull or Patron?
Both.
I knew you were going to say both. That's why I put it together.
I think we just made a new drink, bro. I think we just made a new drink.
And last but not least, grind.
Bones. And I'll tell you why. Bones. Because this business is going to grind your bones down. And if you don't have strong willpower and strength, then you're not going to last. Because there are younger, hungrier people that are coming by every day that are just seeing things in a different way. And if you don't grind as much as they do and learn from what they're learning or what they're spitting out, then you're going to get caught back in the old days, and you're not going to be relevant.
Right.
You know, so you got to keep up and grind. It's an everyday grind.
Wow.
And good coffee, if you're talking about grinding.
So grinding bones and coffee. I will put them together.
That's right.
You're going to have to rewind this because it's too much information to write down. So we're going to do a part 2 series. It's a lot to take in. But what I'm going to do is we're going to sign out. And the next time we see Tomas, we're going to talk more of the industry, the business side of it, the ups and downs.
We're going to give you some deep, dirty secrets. Celebrities be damned.
Okay, guys, take care. This is Chef Tomas Rivera. I'm Al Gordon signing off, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.